This episode of Broken Bones and Bullshit is sponsored by Ozcan Rule. So our next guest is Craig Kendall. Started the Rodeo Road, I believe.
Rodeo Road in Australia.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So most people would probably know you from that. So we'll start with that. How did that all come about?
Moved to America 11 years ago. Was unemployed, couldn't find work. Looking for things on rodeo in Australia. Couldn't really find a real good group. And I thought, I'll just start something, and it looks like it's turned into something bigger than what I expected.
Because I know it's come up a few times on this podcast about, like Clay Hall mentioned it only a few weeks ago, that how much he loves it, and a lot of guys are always checking it. So that must be something that makes you feel pretty good.
Yeah, being overseas, I didn't realise how popular it is, but with 22,000 members, it must be.
Well, you seem to get draws before, like, they even come out on the APRA, and how do you do that?
We can thank my partner in the group, Brett Hughes, and he mainly covers all the American rodeos with us Aussies over there. He mainly does that. He does more than that as well, and just a good guy to have in partnership. So I'm glad he's with us.
It's a great little deal. There's so many. Like I just checked that, and then it's always popping up like what everyone's doing, and a lot of the times. You post about someone winning before the fella that won's even posted about it.
Yeah, well, like I say, Brett is right on top of everything.
Yeah.
Great guy. Haven't met him before. Occasionally have talked to him on the phone. Not that often, but very humble guy, softly spoken. I'm pretty sure he had a lot to do with bucking bulls and strings up in Queensland, from my knowledge anyway.
Did he ride, do you know? Or?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
No.
We'll have to get in contact with him and get him on.
Yes, yeah. Probably should give him a call. So he does a great job.
Yeah, it's credit to both of you guys, because you don't make a cent off it, and you put a lot of work into it, and everybody, I can speak for myself and a lot of fellas that know me, and everybody does appreciate the work you do.
Oh,
so.
That's nice. Good to know.
So keep up the good work.
Yeah, definitely.
It's little things like that helps everyone, like in rodeo, because it's something, we live in a digital age now, so things like this podcast, and there's the Reride podcast, and then your page, it's helps keep everyone connected and know what everyone's up to.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. Yeah, not saying it's the best, but I kind of feel that it's pretty professionally done.
Yeah, I think it comes out great, and it's just user onto it, because every time there's a result, it's straight up there. And then, yous actually posted the draws for my rodeo run before the APRA sent it to me. Saying I run the rodeo.
That'd be Brett. I don't know how he does it, but he's good.
So let's take it way back. How old were you when you started riding, or getting on potties or steers? Or
Look, I would have been probably 15 and a half, 16 years old, and that was in Western Australia. Old guy, Harold Atkins, he started up Little Britches and Junior Rodeo, and we used to get along to his arena and, contest in that and practice, and he had roping nights, team roping, and I ended up living there and breaking in horses and doing all. That was a good start.
And your parents left you there? You just wanted to stay with them and then...
Yeah, they moved to the Western Australia, and I had an apprenticeship and intended on finishing my apprenticeship, which I never did because the rodeo arena was more interesting for me. So yeah, joined the ARRA at the time in 1978. Won a rookie bull riding title that year.
And you told me they never even give you a buckle back then.
No, no buckle. Only the Open, and I think that was Steve Atkins won that year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's so there's a few Atkins, but they're not related.
No,
Yeah.
They were Adkins,
Yeah.
and Steve's last name was Atkins.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were originally from America, and old Harold was a PRCA gold card holder. Yeah. So I was in good hands.
And so were you from the West or no?
No, I was born in Victoria, Ferntree Gully,
Yeah.
and my parents moved when I was a young teenager to the West,
Oh, cool.
and that's when it all started.
And how long did you stay over there? So you didn't do your trade, but you did your rodeo apprenticeship.
Yeah.
How long did you stay over doing that?
Just before I turned 21, I decided to head east, hit the big shows. Steve Atkins was, very encouraging and could see that I had a little bit of talent and thought that I was wasting my time there. So, yeah, I headed over to the east.
And because was there many shows over there? Like
There was a few, not a great deal.
Nothing like Victoria and...
No, not really. It was, I don't know. I can't really remember. Probably 10 rodeos or something a year, something like that. And they were pretty good shows, but they didn't have the same stock as what we were getting on herd bulls and stuff at some rodeos, that farmers donated for the rodeo and things like that.
And then you head over this side and you've got Gary McPhee and the Woodalls, Ron Woodall, and them all breeding buck and bulls.
Yeah.
So was that a big step for you?
Yeah, because I went over as a second division rider and won a couple of money, I think, at 2 rodeos, and then broke open. So I was up with the big boys. So, yeah, it was
we'll find out how tough you are now.
Yeah, it was a bit of an eye-opener. But, it was good. It just made you try harder.
And you had a bit of success?
Yeah, a bit of a success. I was no world beater, but, I've won money here and there, and just
enough to get you down the road.
Yeah, just enough to get down the road, because the money wasn't as good as what it is these days. But maybe I could have made a living if it was.
You told me about that time you got to town and you had $20 to your name.
Yeah, that was Darwin Rodeo, and at the time I think I'd done Blackhall Rodeo and a few of them northern rodeos. Got to Darwin and I was down to my last $20. And I thought, oh, well, with nothing else, I can buy a bottle of Jim Beam and a feed and then go from there. Fortunately, we got 2 head rodeo there. Won the first round on it was Woodall's Bulls. Won the first round, Jack Woodall placed second. And then on our second head, Jack won the round and I got second, and we split the average. So I got a pocket full of money. And went on from there down to Tennant Creek and Alice Springs, won money at both of them, and then back home to Victoria.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So getting there with getting there with $25 and leaving with a lot more.
Yeah, pocket full of cash.
Yeah, and a few bottles of Jim Beam, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun times.
So there's you got on a few of the superstars from back in that era too.
Yeah, I got on Chainsaw 3 times, Bambi, Akuba twice, Burnside Bill, Little BJ. I think he was a Buck and Bull of the Year as well. Oh, quite a few. There was a lot of good bulls getting around back then.
Yeah.
You know, between Gills and McPhee's and Woodles and, you know, we had pretty good pens of bulls to get on.
Talk us through the 3 times you got on Chainsaw. I know you told me that time that he really bucked.
Yeah. The first time I got on him was at Merry Jig. Yeah, didn't go far on him being a left-hander. So I drew him again at Kyabram, and I kind of was trying to work him out in my head, and I kind of set myself to be prepared for that big belly roll, and that didn't work out. And then I went to Wangaratta. It was a night rodeo on New Year's Eve, and I'd been on him twice before, and he always stood well and was pretty well behaved. But this night he was just fired up and squatting down a little and growling and roaring. And man, when he come out, it was like, whoa.
Was it a bit intimidating when he was?
Yeah, it was a bit intimidating, but that makes you ride a bit harder, I think. Try a bit harder. Yeah, he ended up landing on top of me and fractured all my ribs in the back. And, yeah, I was pretty sore.
So he give you a gift to take home?
Yeah, one I won't forget.
And tell us about Bambi.
Bambi, just got on him the once. We had 3 rodeos that year, that weekend. Eddie Fisher got on him, and I think he dislocated his collarbone. Gary Longley was a good bull rider, and he got pretty wrecked up on him. And yeah, I was pretty nervous. It was a damn hot day, and it was night time, but yeah, I was pretty nervous. But yeah, I nearly took him to the whistle.
Oh, wow.
It nearly isn't good enough, but it was damn close.
Yeah.
And didn't get hooked.
Because he was proper savage, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was pretty hooky bull.
Yeah. Yeah, compared to like the likes of Chainsaw, and that Chainsaw wasn't as bad.
No, he was pretty reasonable. If you were in his way, he'd
run you over.
Run you over or give you a bump, a hook.
Yeah, but not try to kill you.
No, he was just a real professional.
Yeah.
At what he did, he knew how good he was.
And because for the younger listeners, they mightn't have heard this before, but when he threw someone off, he used to do like a victory lap, didn't he? And prance around the arena.
Put his head up and go around like this, and do a couple of laps, and the crowd really enjoyed it, and he was a real showman.
And then when people rode him, didn't he nearly just go to the outgate and he's he was sulking.
Yeah, go and have a sulk. No, he is a really, really good bull, and he was well known in the States as well.
Yeah, well, they wrote a song about him. He was on ads.
Yeah. And I'm just glad that, he died peacefully in the paddock. So that was good.
It's got to retire like a champion. And
Yep. Like every champion should.
Yeah, because it was at only 7 people rode him in the end.
I think it was 8.
8, yeah. Because Troy Dunn rode him twice.
Troy, a guy from Canada. Who else? Brendan Antone. I think Darren Brandenburg might have rode him.
No, never rode him. Got on him 13 times.
13 times, wow. Can't really remember.
Yeah, all of them.
Not offhand anyway.
Yeah.
You can find out online.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's
But that was over like 8 years or 9 years. So.
Well, he won 8 Buck and Bull of the Year titles.
Yeah.
So he was riding on for at least 8 years.
Yeah. pretty good effort.
And it's sort of a shame too for Bambi because he was up there, but never was able to because he's just around the era of just the greats.
Yeah, well, they were two different bucking styles, you know. They were kind of different. Chainsaw with his big belly roll and all that, and Bambi was out and fast and around. And,
was he a big bull, Bambi, or?
For a little guy like me, yeah.
They're all big.
They're all big. Yep. My little legs would only get halfway down their sides. So, yeah, he was a reasonable size.
Yeah.
I thought so anyway. He probably looked a little... I think he was the same size as Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Just a little bit different build. Yeah. So...
Yeah, because Chainsaw was that real Brahmin sort of shape, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I feel that maybe Bambi should have won a Buck and Bull of the Year.
Yeah.
But that's the votes are entirely by the bull riders that vote for their bulls. So obviously, everyone thought
like Chainsaw more, yeah.
Chainsaw more, yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of hard with that judging panels because it's just off the guys that made the finals get to judge. So
yeah, that's right. So you're asking the best, and they're giving their best opinion, I guess. But I might be wrong, but I think he deserved at least one Buckham title.
Well, and he went on to breed some awesome bulls too, like that. And Bambi Blood is still running through their program now.
Yeah,
like that Bambi's Blood, I believe. It just used to stand on its nose. Geez, there's some amazing photos of that bull.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a Pat Speedy bull. I'm not 100%
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Not 100%. But anything that come out of Pat's was good and pretty hooky.
Yeah, I had I've had a few fellas on that used to work with Pat.
Yeah.
And they were telling some stories of Pat, just how just wild and tough he was, like.
Yeah.
And he was a bullfighter, but he would breed the most savage bulls.
Yeah.
And then knowing that he's got to be the one that has to fight him every weekend, he must be wired a bit different.
Yeah, well, it was good. I did practice one day at Pat's when I was in Queensland one year, and you drive up the driveway and there'd all be these set of horns looking down from the hills, and then they'd try and run away. But anyway, we got there and he had hundreds of bulls in the arena. It was unbelievable. And there was quite a crew of us, and yeah, it was just full on. We were throwing bags, rocks, sticks, and anything to get the bull's attention away from the rider. It was a wild turnout.
Yeah, there would have been a tough old practice day.
Yeah, for sure. I was sitting next to Dave Johnson, sitting on the rails, and Dave had his foot down on the next rail, but he must have had it below the next rail, and something just come out of nowhere and just broke his leg. And he just said, can someone, I can't remember whether he said call an ambulance or I think I've broken my leg, I think he said. So, yeah. So,
wow.
yeah, just come out of nowhere.
So, back then, who were some of your main travelling partners?
Steve Atkins mainly. A guy named Barry Owen, he's a good friend of mine. I've kind of moved around, but basically Steve and Barry, we all jump in and out of different vehicles depending on
where you're
going and whatnot. So,
but he was the guy that sort of brought you over here and then kept you going.
Yeah, I knew him, from 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, wow.
And used to always have Christmas with the family, and even babysat Bryden Atkins
he
as
actually,
a baby.
Yeah, well, me and Bryden have teamed up. We're supplying bulls to like Bull Throttle. It's a company that's coming down to Victoria, and they do like the freestyle motocross,
Yeah.
and we're supplying all the bulls for it. Me and him, we're sort of partnered up together.
Oh, that's good.
And I was talking to him today, and he goes, ask him about you drew a mural or something in his bedroom.
Oh, yeah. I nearly forgot about that. Steve had a photograph of himself on Gil's bull called Cactus. He had big downturned horns. So, yeah, while I was up there at his house, I did a big mural in pencil on his bedroom wall.
Oh, cool. That would have been a little while now.
Oh, yeah, a long time, because he was just a little boy then. So, yeah, I'm glad he liked it.
Yeah. Well, that was one of his fondest memories that he remembered. He goes, if you get him on, you need to ask him if he remembers doing that for me.
Yeah, I remember it.
And he said, say thank you for it. He still remembers it and still loves it.
I think I might see him tomorrow. I've got to get together in Kyneton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so him and his mother are apparently turning up.
Yeah, well, I spoke to him today and he said he was heading down there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. I've been looking forward, because he was just a baby when I was babysitting him. And Mum and Dad were working at the abattoirs, and if he started crying, I'd give him a big chocolate M. He loved it, and then he'd stop crying.
Jeez, I wouldn't be giving him any more chocolate milk.
No, he looks a little on the large side, doesn't he? Been a good paddock.
He's a big farmer now, so.
Yeah. I've seen videos of his buck and bulls that he's put up, and they're
he's got a
good.
great pen of bulls.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so.
Dad'd be proud.
Yeah. And you should see that property now. Geez, he's done some work there, like fencing and just putting all the money into the property. And
Is that the place in Chiltern?
Not in Chiltern. It's in Doxa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, different place.
Yeah. But it's he's doing a good job.
Yeah, good on him.
So, what were some of the fondest memories you had of traveling with Steve?
We just always stuck together and, backed each other up when required in hotels and stuff. And, picking up jobs and camping at rodeo grounds and just the normal, having a few drinks and having a good time. But, he was always very supportive and, always working on my bad habits, because I got from the West with some bad habits. I was getting on weak bulls and I was letting my free arm flick back, and that was a really bad habit. It'd get me on my arm, and it might have looked good, but it didn't always work out.
Yeah, because he had a way of teaching, didn't he? Really.
Yeah. Even if we didn't have a barrel or something, we'd find a house building brick and sit there squeezing it between our knees, to build up our legs and stuff like that. Yeah.
So anywhere you had a chance to train, he would find it.
Yeah.
That's Bryden's always, like, I had him on the podcast and he was speaking about him, and he said, doesn't matter, even if you're walking in between his schools. He said, arch your back and pretend like you're riding bulls. He said, keep it on your mind. Like, Was he just so, like, obsessed with it? Like, he was just bull riding that?
He'd just be drilling it into you, so you get it subconsciously. This is what I've got to do. And I did a few other schools and stuff and learnt, about reaching out over and tracking bulls. But Steve would, like, really instill it into you, and the reason why you're doing that,
And do you reckon there was a lot of natural talent, or he just worked that hard at it? Like, it sounds like he just had it on his mind that...
Yeah, he was very, very dedicated and just worked all the time at being better and doing it right. Yeah.
And there was, because he rode like for a long time, didn't
I
he?
know, I can't believe it.
And he was still good.
Yeah, still getting to the finals and stuff like that, yeah. Amazing, really. 46 years old.
Yeah,
Betting
wow.
on bulls. I think I was about 35 when I stopped.
So he had 10 years on you.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, it's when you're hurting all the time, it's hard to give up, but it's even harder to keep going. So you've got to make a decision,
Yeah.
you know.
So you sort of seen that, like you'd had your career and
Yeah, I didn't want to
yeah,
finish up, but, you know, if you're not riding 100% fit, something bad's going to happen.
yeah.
So you got to make that decision when it's time. It's time.
And speaking of that, did you have some bad wrecks over your career?
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing I haven't got over.
Yeah.
You know.
Can you talk us through your worst wreck you had?
What would be the worst wreck? Probably chainsaw jumping all over
Yeah,
there.
well.
Would be one of them.
What was the one you broke your back?
That was actually a bareback horse in Western Australia. Didn't really have anyone tutoring me there and didn't have my rigging set up right, and I could always ride them for 6-7 seconds and then my hand would bust out because the rigging wasn't set up properly. And yeah, I come off this horse, did somersaulted in the air and landed on the back of my head and laid there paralysed for a while, and went back home, and 6 weeks later started having seizures. And,
Wow.
Had a seizure and ended up in hospital for 6 weeks, and they couldn't work nothing out, so I signed myself out with a cross and then went home. Oh, they gave me Dilantin pills, a barbiturate, and I took them for about 3 weeks and just threw them out in the paddock and thought I'll get myself right. And I wasn't supposed to drive, drink, smoke, or work ever again.
And
but
you did all them.
I was back at it. Yeah, so.
Not scared off easy.
Nah, sucker for punishment.
So what was, probably looking back over your career, what was the best bull ride you made? Or one that stands out to you the most?
The two at Darwin, there's a rodeo in Collingwood in the city there one year, and yeah, I watched that bull go out and he just went running across the arena, hooking around the place. He was a Jack O'Connell bull, a speedy bull, full of bad manners. And luckily I had Graham Bagheero clowning, and he caught him right at the end of the gate and turned back into my hand, and I got a good knot hold, and that was it. I just kicked the shit out of him and won the rodeo. So.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so... Yeah,
and what was the name of that bull, do you remember?
Oh, geez. Geez, I can't remember. Might have been Confusion. Might have been. Yeah, but yeah, he turned it on and won the rodeo, so I was pretty happy with that. It's one that stands out.
Was it funny getting on him because you'd seen him and he just galloped and just wanted to hook? You're like, oh, fuck, I got this hunk of shit.
Yeah.
And then it turns out...
I saw Graham's hand reach out and round he come. I was lucky and had a good knot hold with my spur and just carted me round. So,
and then just flogged him.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
More whooping. I did go back and look at him later. He was a little bit cut up, but you know, he was probably a bit soft anyway. Soft skin.
That would have been an awesome feeling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just right.
It was moments like that's what kept you rodeo.
Yeah. There's another few, you know, like King Royal split a bull ride with Eddie Fisher, and a bull called, geez, I can't remember his name either. But yeah, that was one of Lloyd Morgan's bulls. But yeah, he was pretty bucky and pretty hard to ride. Another one was Little Richard of Gary's. That was years ago when I first got over there. And yeah, that was another time me and my girlfriend were flat broke and looked like we would be staying at the grounds. Luckily, she won some money barrel racing and I got second in the bull riding. So, yeah.
It seems like you rode better if you were broke.
It seems that way, yeah.
When you know you need to stay on.
And sometimes I found that if I was running late or something like that and didn't have too much time to overthink what I was doing, just get on and ride, that worked good for me.
Yeah, well,
because I tend to overthink things.
Yeah, well, the first time I placed at a rodeo, I was plane was delayed, running late. Got there and my bull was in the chute, and Dan Rowland grabbed me rope and threw it on. I just didn't have. I don't even know if I did me spur straps up or not. I just jumped on him because they're screaming at me. And then I rode him, and it's just like because I didn't have time to think about
reaction.
it. Yeah,
just react. Yeah.
So we'll take a little break.
Okay.
Ozcan Rural, providing Southwest Victoria with everything related custom sheep and cattle yards. Get in touch with the fellas via email ozcanrural@gmail.com. That's AUS, can like the one you drink, rural@gmail.com. Building fences straighter than your local politician. So welcome back.
Thanks.
So we've mainly just touched on the bull riding, but you did pretty much all the other events in rodeo. You clowned and
clown. When I was young, I started in Western Australia. I did bareback riding. Did a couple of schools of saddle bronc riding, but that didn't last long. And I don't know what happened. Just the first rodeo I went to, and there's a bunch of look like yearlings, and there's a giant, big, drafty look roan horse standing in the back, and who got it? Me.
and it bucked.
Oh yeah, it planted me. So I never went on with the saddle bronc riding.
Was the tent shows a bit before your time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time before. We were just talking about tent shows and stuff that my father went to when he was a little boy, and that's sort of, in the mid, say, 1935, 40s, through the Skewthorpes, and the Gills had tent shows, and several others going around the country. So, that was a bit before my time. So,
and because a lot of young fellas mightn't know, but that sort of started rodeo in Australia, the tent shows, eh?
Travelling tent shows, just in a tent.
It's crazy.
Small little tent in a circle, and there was pretty much couldn't get a run at you or buck in a straight line. They'd be,
it had to be right there. And because the arena was actually just tightened rope.
Yeah.
Amazing, eh?
Yeah.
And they reckon it was the size of this kitchen that they'd buck them in too.
Yeah. Amazing, really.
And, I've had a few guys on there talking when they travelled with the Gills.
Yeah.
And they had Dr. Jekyll and 007.
Yeah.
Two best bulls in the country at that time. And these fellas that had never been on bulls were putting their hands up to get on them.
Yeah. I've seen old pictures of them, and Peter N. Poole produced the book when I first, in 78, I bought it, and had pictures of Skewthorpe and old fellas like Tom Kenny and several other older guys. But amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to get my hands on that book. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether you can or not. I don't know what happened to my edition, but I wish I still had it.
Yeah, well, if anyone's listening and you've got that book, please let me know, because I'd love to have a look.
Yeah.
And you'd probably have a look at it again too.
Yeah.
So speaking of fellas that didn't know how to ride, getting on bulls, you're telling me a story about this young fella got on chainsaw and he'd only just been on a couple of rookie bulls and then
Yeah.
drew chainsaw.
Yeah, he was a second division rider and he only had been on a couple of bulls. And anyway, he must have entered the open and drew chainsaw. And he said to me, Craig, what do I do? I didn't want to break his heart and say, don't get on it.
Turn out.
I said, look, all you can do is your basics. Whether he knew his basics or not, I don't know. But the poor bugger went out and chainsaw through him and was slinging his head and he punched a hole in his heart.
Wow.
And, blood was spurting out everywhere. And there wasn't an ambulance on the scene at the time. And I saw a vet go running out and plugged him up. And
Wow, saved his life.
yeah, saved his life. And apparently he died twice in the ambulance on the way to Mansfield Hospital. But they managed to save him.
Wow.
I don't think he rodeoed again.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either. Yeah, that's a tough introduction to open bull riding.
Yeah.
There was so touching back on Bryden, how you drew that thing on his wall. Did you do a lot of art?
Not a whole lot of art, but I think I just inherited some of my artistic thing from my father, who was an artist, oil painting artist. And yeah, I think even my brother's pretty good at it too. So I never really followed it, but yeah, kind of artistic. I do leather work and carvings and stuff like that. So.
Well, yeah, I do tattoos as my day job.
Yeah.
And then I've had a few people go, oh, you must be really artistic. I was like, I reckon I'm more autistic than artistic. With the clowning, did you have any big wrecks?
Yeah, probably the worst one was at Peterborough Rodeo, a bull called Speedy Gonzales. He was a Jack O'Connell bull. He was a Speedy bred bull. And yeah, he'd clean nearly every clown up around the place. I clowned him one day and got the rider out of trouble and run along the chutes and double back, and thankfully he never caught me. And then went to Peterborough and tried the same thing and ended up with a horn in the head.
You shortcutted you.
Yeah. So I went to hospital and got 8 stitches in my head and probably concussed. And they wrapped my head up in bandages and I went back there and finished the job. But I was pretty sore. I had broken ribs and hole in my head, and it was pretty. I got a ride home with Sally H, who takes photographs, and we're driving home and there's all these snakes on the road and she's ducking around them instead of going over, and every move of the car was like, oh. So, yeah.
So Speedy Gonzales is like, you're not going to get away with that twice.
No, it's like he read what I was about to do. He might have known.
That seems like a common trait in rodeo. As soon as you think you've got it figured out, they'll let you know that you don't.
Yeah. So might have been better jumping up on the rails instead of trying to duck away from him.
Being a bit too proud and wanting to stay on the ground.
Yeah, that's about it.
So how do you think rodeo's going in Australia?
Well, I haven't been to any rodeos for a long, long time. So I'm not really up with it. other than what I see on videos and stuff like
but
that.
you've shared every single result in Australia, so I'm sure you would have seen most of it.
Yeah.
There's you happy with the talent and that's coming through?
Yeah, we've got some good riders in the States. What's his name? Brady Fielder?
Brady Fielder.
Yeah.
He rides good.
He's doing real good over there.
And then Kai Hamilton, world champion.
Yeah. And, of course, we got Damien Brennan now in the saddle bronc, just kicking ass.
Yeah, he's awesome, hey?
Yeah.
Have you seen the big bronc bash that they're doing in Australia?
Not personally, no, just online.
Yeah, so
what's going on.
Yeah, that's coming up in a month or so, I think. So, it's...
it'll be on Rodeo Road in Australia.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm going to head down to it just to try to catch a few of the guys, try to get them on the podcast.
Good idea. Yeah.
Keep it.
Grab them all you can.
I've got to grab them everywhere.
Yeah.
It's... nearly need to set up on your reunion tomorrow. There'll be good cowboys there.
Yeah, there'll be a few there. I think there's 13 people turning up.
Yeah.
It's hard because everyone's so spread out. And I only got 2 weeks here in Australia, and it'd be lovely to get around and see everyone. I know I get messages, I wish I could meet up with you and that, but it's just kind of impossible.
Yeah.
But who knows... might come back and maybe do a bit longer time and, organise something again. And I know Lance Anderson is coming, Charlie Clancy, good friend of mine I met him in the West too. He's from South Australia originally. Adrian Ireland, he was a good bronc rider. He's out in the Western Districts. And a couple of others, so it should be fun.
It should be a good day.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? I know you've got the Facebook page running, you're doing that. Are you looking to get more involved in events, or what have you got planned?
Probably a bit past it now. I'd like to do old-timers, but I suffer from tendinitis and Dupuytren's contracture and arthritis in both hands, all this damn hard work I've done over the years, carting hay, welding and all sorts of jack of all trades, broken in tons and tons of horses in the racing industry. Got some pretty famous ones under my belt, Lonhro, can't remember all their names, but going back a few years, pretty good horses. I work for the Ingham brothers, which is Woodlands. I think the Arabs own that now. But we had 8 breakers there doing, I think we did 40 horses each for the season, but I have been in places where I've done 80 horses by myself, and that was pretty tough going.
Earning your keep there.
Yeah, taking horses to places like Macau, which is just off Hong Kong. It's the gambling city, capital of the world, big on racing and betting, horses and dogs and all sorts of things.
And what was some of the countries you got on bulls at?
Did 6 months in Canada. Wasn't highly successful. Probably should have won a few checks, but being a new one in, they didn't really know me or whatever. And never got to America. Did a rodeo at New Caledonia.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty wild. Pretty good bulls.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Crowd of 30,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just absolutely packed. And I think that went for 2 days. Pretty wild old show. I felt sorry for the horses because they had sharp spurs and all sorts of stuff was going on.
Something we'd never do here.
No, you wouldn't see that sort of thing happen in Australia, America, New Zealand.
Yeah.
But I saw one bull jump the top rails amongst the crowd, and should have seen them scatter. They were climbing trees. And, yeah, it was like a wave of people just bolting.
Yeah, it's touching back on that, like the level of care and that in Australia is at such a high standard now. It's the quality and the way all the animals are treated is just as good as any.
Treated as athletes.
And well, that's what they
rightly
are.
So, some people I meet say, you got the rope around the bull's testicles. I said, no, nowhere near it. I have to explain to them.
Yeah, it's the same spot as where our buckles are sitting.
Yeah.
Just around their waist.
Yeah, it's a tickler. Well, some bulls won't buck if they're over-flanked. Or most won't. They'll just cramp up and run. But if they're set right,
it just helps them stretch their legs out. And
some contractors pull the flank a bit over the hip to make them turn back. Yeah, so it's good to see that animal welfare is strict, and so it should be.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're an investment. That's the contractors'
bread and butter.
livelihood. You don't want to wreck them.
Yeah.
So it's good.
It's funny how like high steed the bulls or the horses are, like, because like a claim to fame is to be able to that you got on chainsaw.
Yeah.
Like it's something that it's really cool. Like so. It's cool that
been great to ride him, Tom.
Be one of the 7 or 8 that actually got it done.
Yeah,
but it's cool looking back over that it is something that you're able to get on like an athlete like that.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool,
Yeah, him and Bambi and there's a bunch of good bulls.
Yeah,
but they were the best.
Yeah,
the cream of the crop.
And it was a lot of outsiders that don't know about it. Like it's probably good for them to hear like how high steed that we keep them and like especially the names like 007 and Dr. Jekyll and geez, that was a long time ago that they're around and we're still talking about them now.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people probably couldn't name any of the cowboys that got on them, but we all know the bulls.
The bulls. Yeah.
Yeah, those bull names will outlive a lot of us.
Yeah, and people in America still remember Chainsaw.
Yeah.
He's still just a legend.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky to have him.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely.
It was speaking of being tough. You told me about your grandfather. He's probably the only rodeo blood you had in you.
Yeah, his family was from England. There was 9 kids, and he happened to have tuberculosis and was operated on by the King's personal surgeon. Or he offered to operate and told his parents that I was never walk again, or he would end up disabled. And most men live till with TB only into their 40s. And anyway, he had a big hump in his chest and his back, hunchback type deal going on, and he was as hard as nails. Worked in a quarry in Ferntree Gully, fell down in the pit and broke every bone in his body.
Wow.
And he lived till his late 70s. So
and he rodeoed with them.
Yes, he told me when I was a little boy that he did the local rodeos, and that just
sparked something in you.
I never forgot it. So when the chance come to rodeo, I thought, yeah, that's how it popped in. So yeah,
you want to be like your heroes.
Yeah, yeah. So
well. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and thank you very much for taking the time, and best of luck to everything in the future, and thanks again for the Rodeo Road. And
and thank you for having me.
No worries,
I've really enjoyed it. So put it there, bro.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay.